facts. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Look who's back. Guess who's back? Dion's back. Tell a friend. I fucked that all up. Yeah, and I see that. Amber. Amber says I'm always here. See, yeah, I don't care. Don't try again. This is just a fucking cover. All right, because the Amber is one of the fortunate ones, because I tell her personally that I'm going live, and I have for, man, well over a year. So I try and change it up, instead of I am live, and I said I is, am, and always will be live. So that's why Amber says I'm always here. We're gonna do tradition 10, something a little bit lighter. If you were in the last one, we were kind of discussing what Dion what he's going to do, and I had a talk with my therapist about it, and I think I am going to be making some extra content. Going to utilize there's a lot of places I could do it. I could do it through Facebook. I could do it through YouTube. I could do it, but I'm not going to do any of that. No, I don't want to be part of their patron program. Actually, the way they spell it is actually a tequila, a Patron. Right. I'm also just gonna. I'm just gonna do it from the website. That's my 3:30 alarm from like a week and a half ago that I've just not turned off yet. But it means it's 3:30. But we'll have professionals. I'll be doing classes. There'll be a forum. And then if you are a member, I think I'm going to charge $5 a month. Then you get to, if somebody wants a one-on-one with me, I'll do half hours. If you're a member, it'll be $20. If you're a non-member, it'll be $40. Things like that. Yeah. Nice and simple. A lot of times they do it tiered and things like that. And I'm just, yeah. Nah. No. In fact, let's show that one. My mom sent this to me. My mom said this to me. I got to pause it right before it starts. Okay. You guys will enjoy this one. And it won't get my video cut. So, right. So the name of the meme is me on the phone with my mom. Oh, it's silence. I know. Oh, I know. All right. Kind of funny. Right. My mom and I have a special kind of relationship. I remember once her and I we were bickering about something. My mom and I have always bickered. This is how we work through things. We're not angry at each other. I just moved in with them. She hadn't been with her husband but a couple years by this time. And he walks in the room. He's like, you both need counseling. And we're both like, fuck off. Oh, memories. Oh, memories. All right. Welcome to the Daily Trudge. I bet you know my name. This is a running joke now. Not as much as blah, blah, blah is. That's an inside joke now in our meeting. If you'd like to find out about the inside jokes at Grassroots, well, you're going to need to attend. Welcome to the Daily Trudge. Dion. D-I-O-N. Welcome to the show. No service at school. So Amber will be back shortly. If you're here, please say hello, whether watching the live or the rewatch. She says, no service at school, so lame. And I'm going to say, don't they know who I am? Like I'm someone special, right? All right, let's get started. If you have a 12 by 12, which is the 12 steps and 12 traditions, you can see mine has been put to a lot of use. That's a good thing. I will be on page 176. So, Alcoholics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues. Hence, the AA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. And we're seeing it all the time. People utilizing AA either to boost their sales. All right, see, this is where I'm gonna have to be a little different. And I was actually explaining to my therapist what these are like, because she brought up editing. She's like, oh, well, you could have like blooper reels. I'm like, I don't have any blooper reels because I don't edit. And she was surprised. She's like, you don't edit anything. She's like, you go on and you do what you do. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, and I make mistakes often. And then we correct them right there so that people know it's okay to make a mistake and still have a good day. She's like, wow, that's just, and I ain't bragging, but I am. There ain't nobody else out there that does it this way. Not that I have met. They all edit. Oh, we gotta show the best of the best, man. Nah, fuck that. You're gonna get what you get. All right. Alcoholics Anonymous, we already did that. Never since it began has AA been divided by a major controversial issue. Nope. I've seen groups divide over it, but AA has not divided. Nor has our fellowship ever publicly taken sides on any questions in an embattled world. This, however, has been no earned virtue. It could almost be said that we were born with it. For as one older timer recently declared, practically never have I heard a heated religious, political, or reform argument among AA members. So long as we don't argue these matters privately, it's a cinch we never shall publicly. It's hard not to get caught up into it, huh? But you're not going to hear these conversations in AA meetings. I have heard a few, but I've been to thousands and thousands and thousands of AA meetings. So one or two isn't really that bad. And it's usually before or after. It is never during the meeting. Sometimes people get a little close, but, right? There was a group before us that were called the Washingtonians. And because they decided to get decide to back a congressman or a political party, it divided them. I mean, we've got to stick to our primary purpose. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics achieve sobriety. That is all AA does. We are not anything else. We cannot be anything else, or we will be divided. Imagine if we took on a political stance. AA would melt right in front of us. It would. Okay. But even though AA will probably really do nothing, I find it extremely rude when people say, even if they're cutting down AA to get their, well, you don't have to do the 12 steps. And no, you have no right to say that. Okay. And clearly you are not listening in Sales 101, because the first rule of sales is you don't cut down other places. I was going to say competition, but there should be no competition in recovery. There's not competition in recovery. It's an altruistic movement. Yep. And sure the heck is. As by some deep instinct, we AAs have known from the very beginning that we must never, no matter the provocation, publicly take sides in any fight, even a worthy one. Well, who gets to decide whether it's a worthy one? What you think is worthy and what I think is worthy is probably, it might be two different things. How you perceive it. Maybe you're going through it at the time. So it's hard to see all the facts. I know when I'm emotional, I tend not to see all the facts, right? All history affords us a spectacle of striving nations and groups finally torn asunder because they were designed for or tempted into controversy. Look at all the fucking controversy going on amongst recovery centers and shit. People getting sued, people, look at all of it. It's frustrating for me. You know, back in the 90s, we all got along, man. There was no competition in recovery. We all knew who was good at what, and that's where we sent them if that's what they needed. And that's how it worked. And that's how it should work. It's something I'm trying to bring back, but I'm finding that that's going to be impossible to do. So all I can really do is make small advances, right? I'll give you an example. I was at the office delegate meeting last week, and we spent 20-30 minutes arguing over a quarter. And I'll tell you what it was. You know the books that the little things that we hand out, the meeting finder books, they cost $1.25, but the manager is selling them for $1. And there's nothing wrong with that. She's like, sometimes I even hand them out to homeless people. Great, that's her decision. She's the office manager. She gets to decide that. And people are like, well, we need to make up that quarter. And I'm over here going, come on, new business. So finally at the end, even though they didn't give me a chance, I said, hey, I'm trying to bring 12th step back. In person, 12th step work back. And what'll happen is if we bring in more people put money in the basket, and then we don't have to worry about that quarter, do we? No one said anything. And the meeting was over. They just went right back to arguing about the quarter. That tells me where those people stand. And it feels like I'm going to have to do this on my own, because I even reached out to the Night Watch guy. He ain't answering me back. Why is he not answering me back? I'm curious, I'm assuming it's just because life is complicated for him right now. I was just talking to my therapist about this. And I asked her point blank, I'm like, do I seem to be obstinate about some stuff? Am I being hard-headed? Because I feel like I'm missing out on some things because of it. And she pretty much told me, she says, it seems like your reaction a lot of times when it comes to these things is a hard, fast line. And I don't want to be like that, right? So we had some discussion, and instead I'm going to try and be a little bit more open-minded instead of just lumping people in. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them 2, 3, 4 chances first. Yeah. Right? So people okay. So anyway, back to this, right? Others fell apart because of sheer self-righteousness while trying to enforce upon the rest of mankind some millennium of their own specification. Oh, that's happening a lot now. Oh, do it our way or it's the highway. You hear it a lot. They don't say it that way. In our own times, we have seen millions die in political and economic wars, often spurred by religious and racial difference. We live in imminent possibility of a fresh Holocaust to determine how men shall be governed and how the products of nature and toil shall be divided among them. That is the spiritual climate in which AA was born, and by God's grace has nevertheless flourished. They weren't wrong, because then what happened in 1942? Well, this book was written after that. So, yeah, never mind. Let us re-emphasize that this reluctance to fight one another or anybody else is not counted as some special virtue which makes us feel superior to others. No, I don't feel, because of this tradition and the things that I know, I don't feel superior. What I feel is a responsibility. I feel a responsibility to pass it on. Nor does it mean that the members of Alcoholics Anonymous, now restored as citizens of the world, are going to back away from their individual responsibility to act as they see the right upon issues of our time. Yeah. So as an individual member, go for it. If you want to go protest, if you want to picket, if you want to, go to the school board, things like this, absolutely. It just doesn't get brought into the AA meetings. Yeah. See, that's what sponsors and therapists are for. Yeah. And that's kind of where we should keep those, right? So, but when it comes to AA as a whole, that's quite a different matter. In this respect, we do not enter into public controversy because we know that our society will perish if it does. And we know this because we watched other groups go through it. Who's the other group that decided to be Switzerland and stay neutral? The Oxford group. And they're still around. They're still around. Oxford group's been around a lot longer than AA has. Yes, they have. And the program still works. More people tend to go to AA because Oxford group is purely Christian. So their recovery is based off the Bible. And a lot of people have a hard time with that. Not everybody does, and it's a good place for them. And, they love Jeebus. Yeah, that's great. Oxford works fantastic, man. But they're more about our way or highway type of thing. They're a lot more structured. You gotta be willing to take some direction, right? Welcome back, Amber. It never showed that you left. So, we conceive the survival and spread of Alcoholics Anonymous to be something of far greater importance than the weight we could collectively throw back of any other cause. Since recovery from alcoholism is life itself to us, it is imperative that we preserve in full strength our means of survival. Now on schools, Wi-Fi. Oh, and they're letting you listen to me. There is a God. For anybody that doesn't know, the reason that I say that is because my YouTube is marked unsafe for children. It is marked that, or I would have been shut down a long time ago. Because I say too many adult things here for children to be listening in on this. I'm definitely a 16 plus. Yeah. All right. Maybe even 18. Maybe this sounds as though the alcoholics in AA had suddenly gone peaceable. Oh, we are not peaceable. As a group, yes, we are. As individuals, yeah, I don't know. And become one great big happy family. No. You think I trust everybody in AA? No. Not till I get to know you, man. But now I do have one big happy family. I do, and it's in AA. Right? I got my wife, I've got my mom and my stepdad. I got my kids and my grandkids. That's all of my immediate family that's in my life that, But most of my family, people that I consider my brothers, my sisters, some people that I consider daughters or sons or elders, they're all in the program. Yeah. Of course, that isn't so at all. Human beings that we are, we squabble. Before we leveled off a bit, AA looked more like one prodigious squabble than anything else, at least on the surface. A corporation director who had just voted a company expenditure of $100,000 would appear at an AA business meeting and blow his top over an outlay of $25 worth of needed postage stamps. Yeah. The number one thing that is argued about in group conscious, money. I watched it. It's what splits things. It destroys more AA groups. I was going to one meeting. We were meeting every single day. It was a very, very big group. But what was going on is we were giving $1,000 each month to an AA club. And I said, no more. We don't meet at that AA club. We don't meet there. It is not our job, okay? Because Corona was over. We were done with the Ronavirus, okay? COVID. I still call it the Rona. So COVID was over. And I kept suggesting to them to follow the directions in the big book on how to build a group, but they just didn't want to listen. No, this person wanted to be able to give a check for $1,000 a month so they would see what we're doing for you. And that person was there once a week. They didn't really do much. They were there for the group conscious. And surprise, surprise, when we voted it down, they got mad and left. So what were their intentions? Because that was breaking tradition. Each group is autonomous. Okay, we can support other AA meetings, kind of, but we're not paying other people's rent, right? But it isn't like we were just like one day, no. I was like, we'll do it for 2 more months, but other than that, I'm voting this down. So they need to start preparing for this. They need to get out. They need to go to detoxes. They need to go to hospitals. They need to do all and get in touch with the professionals and bring more people into AA. Just like I suggested with the central office. That's what we're supposed to be doing. I'm tired of hearing AA meetings beg for fucking money. We're supposed to be broke. And right now, central office is trying to collect all the money that they can because they got to move in the next 4 or 5 months. All right. And I hope they get it worked out, man. Disliking the attempt to manage a group, half its membership might angrily rush off to form another group more to their liking. Elders temporarily turned Pharisees of salt. Yeah. Bitter attacks have been directed against people suspected of mixed motives. Despite their din, our puny rose never did AA a particle of harm. They were just part and parcel of learning to work and live together. Let it be noted, too, that they were almost always concerned with ways to make AA more effective, how to do the most good for the most alcoholics. It should be our one and only concern at a group conscious. What can we, and that's what a group inventory is about. What can we do to reach more alcoholics? There's the answer. Says it right there. See, I ain't full of it. Well, not of that anyway. Right? The Washingtonian Society, I was just talking about them earlier. This is where they're going to discuss what happened. A movement among alcoholics which started in Baltimore a century ago almost discovered the answer to alcoholism. At first, the society was composed entirely of alcoholics trying to help one another. There was, but they didn't stick to that. In many respects, the early members foresaw that they should dedicate themselves to this sole aim. In many respects, the Washingtonians were akin to AA today. Their membership passed the 100,000 mark. From my understanding, they got over 200,000 by the time they were done. So it was probably twice that size. Still doesn't compare to the 2 million people in AA who's still here because of this. All right. Their membership, had they been left to themselves and had stuck to their one goal, they might have found the rest of the answer. But this didn't happen. Instead, the Washingtonians permitted politicians and reformers, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic, to use their society for their own purposes. Abolition of slavery, for example, was a storming political issue then. Just imagine if AA took sides on, I don't want to use trans because, on Medicaid. Especially right now. Oh, tempers would, oh man, they would engulf AA. It wouldn't be but months before it was gone. Okay. Now, the hard part is this. There are some things that AA does do, but people are saying it's an outside issue. We got to protect AA also. That doesn't mean we should be all willy-nilly, let anybody do anything. No, we got to check that. All right. Anyway, kind of that's a little bit off topic, right? Soon, Washingtonian speakers violently and publicly took sides on this question. Violently. Here comes the division. We can't allow. I just posted this yesterday. We will never win the war on drugs while we are divided. We won't. And I mean the recovery community. And the recovery community is divided. Here's the division. Popularity, altruistic. That's the division. All right. Maybe the society could have survived the abolition controversy. At one point, alcohol was illegal in the United States. I'm not sure I don't know what they teach in history school anymore, right? So that's what they're talking about. Imagine they did that today. Oh, most of the country would fucking flip out. You remember when COVID happened, they're like, we're going to shut down the liquor stores. Oh, there was an uproar. There was an uproar. Not amongst alcoholics, though. Not in Alcoholics Anonymous. No. Did we care? No. We just got together, met, stayed sober, helped other alcoholics to achieve sobriety during a harder period. I think COVID actually did something great for AA. It brought us together again. And we needed it. We needed it. COVID was a blessing for AA. And I don't like saying it that way. Yeah, coming out of my mouth, that doesn't feel right. So strike that one from the record. All right. But it didn't, maybe the society survived abolition controversy, but it didn't have a chance from the moment it determined to reform America's drinking habits. When the Washingtonians became temperance crusaders, within a very few years, they had completely lost their effectiveness in helping other alcoholics. Yeah. Yes, because you got to think and believe the way that I do. See, and that's the popularity side. You got, rarely have we seen a person fail who's thoroughly followed our path, and you must thoroughly follow my path and do everything I say and everything I do. And yeah. See where we're already. I'm not everything to everyone. I'm not the alpha. I'm not the alpha, nor am I the omega. I might be a little delta. I'm making shit up. It's just a joke. The lesson to be learned from the Washingtonians was not overlooked by Alcoholics Anonymous. As we surveyed the wreck of that movement, early AA members resolved to keep our society out of public controversy, thus laid the cornerstone for Tradition 10. Alcoholics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues. Hence, the AA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. Ta-da! There you go. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Everybody being Amber. And my daughter in the other room. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out. And have a day. Have a day. Hi, Clara. I was just ending. I'm sorry. But I will see you in an hour. I'll even log in 10 minutes early so you can spend some special time with me if you like. Or we could just sit there and go blah, blah, blah. I fucking laughed for like 5 minutes. That was so funny. All right. Thank you. I love you. Peace out. Have a day.